Hi there. So this is episode 7 of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power in the Shadows of Mystacor. Woo! So this is the one where after all of their stuff with the Princess Alliance, the best friend squad go to the land of Mystacor in the clouds, meet Glimmer's aunt there, and Shadow Weaver plays all of these mind games on Adora, trying to get her back and break her will. So this episode I felt was fine. I mean, I don't think there really is a whole lot to say because it really focuses on one major thing, which is the mind game against Adora, the manipulations of Shadow Weaver, and getting some insight into the relationship between Adora and Shadow Weaver when the two were still together in the Horde. Yeah, and I suppose that is the major thing that I really loved about this episode, really getting into the backstory of Adora and Shadow Weaver. I felt that the big reveal, if they were intending to do that, of Shadow Weaver being essentially the Count Dooku of Mystacor, where Shadow Weaver was this great sorceress once named Light Spinner and then falling to the dark side or whatever. If they were intending that to be this really huge reveal, I don't think they really handled it well, especially since the words between the two are pretty similar already, that you can sort of already get who this Light Spinner character was. I mean, Light Spinner, Shadow Weaver. Not really subtle about it, are you, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power? But whatever, for all I know, maybe they might not have been intending that. Maybe they wanted to put that out in the open, not make it a huge mystery, just so they can really get to the point. Which, again, to be fair, the point of the episode was not to reveal that Shadow Weaver was really part of this sorceress order and part of Mystacor. The real point was Adora and Shadow Weaver. And so because of that, I feel some of the more superfluous stuff of the episode felt a bit unnecessary. Pretty much everything involving Glimmer's aunt, Castaspella, I honestly could have done without. It's not bad, I just really didn't care about it. Castaspella, she was an okay character. She was funny, she added a bit of levity, being overbearing, belly aching about Glimmer not having friends, and Castaspella complaining about Queen Angela and all of that. It was fine, I just didn't really care for it, to be honest. But then that gets to the point of what I really did care about, insight of Adora and Shadow Weaver, showing how Adora really still has all of this huge emotional baggage after she left the Horde. All of this stuff with Shadow Weaver, how we are told that Shadow Weaver was really the closest thing Adora had to a mother figure, raising her, toughening her up, teaching her and everything. And that really gives this horrible implication of just how Shadow Weaver felt about Adora. For lack of a better term, and I know by this point it's cliche to bring it up, but is Adora's and Shadow Weaver's relationship sort of what Thanos and Gamora are from the Marvel Cinematic Universe? How what Adora and Shadow Weaver had was not true love, or did Adora not see it that way, or did Shadow Weaver honestly feel that she loved Adora in her own way, or was was Adora this means to an end? It really raises a lot of these questions and implications that may or may not be truly horrible. I feel it can get a little bit disturbing if you really dig deep into it, especially considering what we know of Shadow Weaver so far, being conniving, not showing a lot of love towards Catra, really coddling over Adora from what we've seen so far. It's really fascinating, and I hope this is not the end of the stuff between Adora and Shadow Weaver. The episode may end on Adora overcoming the emotional baggage, but I am still hoping the further we get into Shadow Weaver's story, we'll get more flashbacks on who Shadow Weaver was, how she fell, and seeing more of how she raised Adora. Which brings to mind the one nitpick I have is for all that we're told, we're not really shown. So because of that, I feel a lot of what I just said a while ago was speculation. Because until we are shown Shadow Weaver and Adora being together, aside from the Sword Part 1, which honestly wasn't really a whole lot anyway, we were just told about Adora and Shadow Weaver's relationship, which for all we know, the show might deliberately be an unreliable narrator. It might be falsifying things or leading us in another direction. The show might be fooling us into thinking that it did this, but in reality it's planning for something huge down the line, which, given how this show has played with lore and world building and characters, I wouldn't put past She-Ra and the Princesses of Power to do that. But yeah, that's my only nitpick, and for all I know, this nitpick could be resolved later on once we get the rest of Shadow Weaver's story. So overall, this is probably the best dramatic episode so far. While I loved System Failure, the previous episode, for really combining action, suspense, and comedy, for drama, I really loved this one in the Shadows of Mystacor, and that is in spite of the rest of this episode being rather unremarkable. The only other curious thing I was wondering in this episode was honestly when we saw Glimmer and her back. Are those wings on the back of Glimmer? I mean, considering that her mother, Queen Angela, has these really fully developed wings, I'm wondering if that will happen for Glimmer, because at the moment they really look nothing more than birthmarks or tattoos. Will at some point Glimmer grow wings of her own? That would be really cool if she does, because, yeah, like I said previously, Glimmer is overall my favorite character. Yeah, so I believe that's it for me. So that's episode 7 in the Shadows of Mystacor. So I'll be seeing you guys next time for episode 8. See you around.